Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle. Today, this episode is the masterclass that I ran on the 1st of May 2024. This episode, we're going to have the masterclass with exercise physiologist Wynter Chan. The topic is how to start exercise. Wynter is an exercise physiologist in the Melbourne CBD. Her website is Melbourne Yoga and Pilates. She doesn't just do yoga and Pilates. You can Zoom her and she will talk about lots of exercises. You don't have to see her face to face. Of course, you can go to the CBD. The topics that she and I talked about was how to start exercising, how an exercise physiologist can work with you and adapt to your needs and help you start this journey. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another masterclass. Tonight, I have a treat for you. We've got exercise physiologist Wynter Chan. She is going to talk about how to start exercising. So she is an exercise physiologist from the Melbourne CBD. She has a clinic called Melbourne Yoga and Pilates. I think she doesn't just do yoga and Pilates. She do lots of other things as well. So welcome, Wynter. Thank you for coming to the masterclass.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, so Wynter tells people how to exercise with yoga, Pilates, and things. Get you to introduce yourself, Wynter.
Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm an exercise physiologist, and most people don't really understand what we do. They're like, oh, so are you like a physiotherapist? And the answer is no, we're not really like a physiotherapist. A physiotherapist probably is more focused on treatment using their hands, whereas for us, it's more about exercise prescription. So we prescribe exercise for people with injuries or with any kind of metabolic conditions like diabetes, cardiovascular conditions, or we also in my clinic have a lot of cancer patients wanting to return to exercise after illness and they just don't know what to do, how to do it, what's safe for them. I think that's the number one question we get from people. And obviously we also get people who are completely healthy and wants to either drop some weight or build more muscle mass. And again, it's that question mark, is that, you read so much in the media and you just don't know what suits you. And an exercise physiologist's job is to direct you based on your lifestyle, based on your likes and dislikes, because in the long run, it's got to be something that works well for you, and everyone is different.
Amazing. That's great. So you did university exercise physiology? Did you train in Australia?
Yeah. So with exercise physiology, you need to have at least a 4-year degree. So we've all done our bachelor's, usually in exercise science, and then our master's in exercise physiology. I also used to lecture at Victoria University before I started my own clinic. I also worked with the national badminton team. So I advised them on strength conditioning, rehab, and I also spent some time with the Australian Ballet where I learned a lot about the Pilates method. And that's why I really fell in love with Pilates. But throughout the years, our clinic kind of evolved. We started getting a lot of doctor referrals for people looking to, either reverse their type 2 diabetes, or they've had cardiovascular conditions, like I said, or had cancer and just want to return to exercise. So we see a lot of people like that, and we give them advice on what type of exercise. And I feel like my job, as it evolves over the years, is about helping people fit exercise into their lives because they just find it such a big challenge.
That's it. Yeah.
And if you're not a natural, I guess, naturally active person, if you haven't done much sport when you're younger, it can be really hard to get started. And that's where we come in with the motivation and the accountability, etc.
Yeah, great. I have a lady who always say she doesn't have time, she doesn't too busy, lots of things. How do you help people to fit it all in?
I think it's got to be a priority and it's got to be scheduled, right? So we schedule school pickups, we schedule work meetings, and I think with exercise, for some people, it has to be a schedule that you make with yourself.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people they feel very daunted because they read in the media or they see on TV and they think they have to exercise for an hour every
Mm.
day, which,
Yeah.
ideally is fantastic. But some people only have 10 minutes and that will be fine as long as you are consistent, and I think combined with your low carb diet, little bits of exercise compound over time. And once you see a little bit of results, that's when people say, okay, maybe I can find 15 minutes. So
Mm.
I think lack of time is definitely something that is a very common reason that people give us. And then what I actually do is I help to schedule my clients their exercise sessions. I'll be like, what do you do in the mornings? What do you do in the evenings?
Mhm. Yeah, that's it. I think schedule it in and find a time. That's how I started when my kids started getting bigger. I think
Mm.
when they were 2 or 3, I started to join the gym, and then I thought, if I go in the evening, 7:30, I can go for half an hour, a couple of times a week, and that's how I started. It felt much
Yeah.
better.
And I find that what's worked very well also, especially the last couple of years, is people have started building home gyms,
Mm.
and you can just start with one pair of dumbbells and a yoga mat. That's all you need to get started. And I would say 40% of my work is now online. I actually take people through their exercise sessions on Zoom, and people love it because they don't have to travel to see me.
Yeah.
They don't have to travel home. Um, I was just actually talking to my Queensland client this morning, and he was talking about how he's, the fittest he's ever been. And he said, I was a terrible client when I was living in Melbourne winter. And I said, yeah, Carlos, you were pretty terrible. You missed a lot of sessions. You were always late. But now that he's on Zoom, he's like, I just walk into the exercise room, turn on the computer, and there you are. And we do a 30-minute session and he continues on his day. So I really like to invite people to think about that. You don't need to deck out your house into a full setup with treadmill and
Yep.
squat racks and stuff. You literally can just start with a mat,
Yep.
the iPad where you can, or your phone where you can follow a program, and a pair of dumbbells and a band probably.
Great.
Mm.
Yeah. So how often would you see your client if they were going to Zoom you and do exercises?
Well, it depends on what they want. I train a lot of lawyers, for example, who are really busy, but fitness is also really important to them because if they're not fit and they're not well, they can't do their job and they
Hmm.
can't keep up with their kids. So we might do 30-minute sessions,
Mm.
where some people with a bit more time, they're in retirement age or close to it, they will do 45 or 60-minute sessions. It just really needs to fit into someone's lifestyle because if it starts to become a chore and a struggle, people give up. So it's important that your practitioner reads you really well and
Hmm.
knows how to pivot and knows how to adjust based on your lifestyle. And I think that might be the reason why some people have failed in the past is they go and see a personal trainer and the personal trainer is like, right, you need to do 3 times 45 minutes.
Hmm.
And you're just like, how am I going to find 3 times 45 minutes in my week when I can barely find half an hour? So it's about adjusting to the individual's lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's much easier if people can Zoom you and do it online and watching an iPad.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Like my Queensland clients, they told me that they've got a reformer, they've got an exercise bike, they've got a Pilates trapeze table, and they told me they bought it all off Facebook Marketplace.
oh wow.
Yeah, for really cheap. So
Yeah.
and it's worked really well for them. They exercise consistently every week
Okay.
and they are the fittest and the slimmest, I guess they've ever been. And it's also an increase in their self-confidence when they can achieve their goals, and they know they're putting the effort to consistently achieve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When I exercise, I feel much better, more energy and feel stronger as
Mm.
well.
I was wondering how everyone feels about exercising online. Is it still like a, oh, I'm not sure, or you all are doing it?
I'll get you to put it on in the chat. What do you feel about exercising online? Um,
Whether it's with a person or with a program or whether you're watching YouTube. Because in
yeah,
Melbourne, we still get people quite apprehensive about exercising online. But once they do one session with me, they understand the benefits of it, and it's so much easier when you have to like travel interstate for work. You can, you don't lose a week of your progress because you are away. You can still, yeah. Mhm.
yeah. I've got Carrie Ann who says, I'm
Thank you,
still a bit
Carrie Ann.
apprehensive.
Mhm. Mhm. Is it because I love to like just hear people's thoughts? Is it because you're very unsure of what to do? Because usually for beginners, yeah, they would be a little bit cautious as to, what program to choose, what app to use, etc.
Yeah, I think most people just don't know how to go about it and not sure what happens.
Mm,
And without the personal touch, but it
mm.
sounds like it's working very well for you if you have 40% of clients.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I know because a lot of my clients initially are really um, uncertain about it, but I think lockdown helped in a way
Mm.
that most people, have never fathomed that I would do exercise physiology online. And that like when before COVID happened, I was just like, yeah, no, you just can't exercise online because I've most of my work for the last 20 years is based on my interaction, my face-to-face interaction with the client,
Yeah.
touch them, etc. And I remember my very first Zoom client was an old client of mine that now lives in London. And we connected over COVID, and she was like, "Oh, maybe we should try this Zoom training because, as you know, London was in lockdown for a really long time, so she had nothing
Okay.
to do."
Yep.
And I said, "Oh, yeah, we can." But even I was hesitant. I tried to talk her out of it. I said, "Karen, why don't you let me help you find a gym or a studio in London? I'll be happy
Mm.
to do research for you and make some recommendations." And because she's a very busy lawyer and a mom of two, she said, "Well, Winter, I don't actually have time to travel to the studio, do a
Mm.
full hour, because nobody wants to do 30 minutes with me. They only want to do an hour, and then have
Okay.
a shower and then go to work." She's like, "That's
Yes.
3 hours, and I've got two young kids that need me." And I was still reluctant. I was like, okay, let's try this, thinking that when lockdown lifts, she'll go and find a gym. But we've been probably Zooming for 4 years now.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Great.
and it works for her, works for her lifestyle. She literally rolls out of bed like a few times she attended in pajamas because she couldn't find her exercise clothes. And I was just like, as long as you're not naked, let's do it.
Great. And
Yeah.
she Zooms you a couple of times a week or something,
Yeah,
two or
she
three
Zooms me
times?
3 times a week, 30 minutes,
Okay.
before she starts her day.
Yeah.
And if you think about if she had to go to a studio, she would have to get
Yes.
dressed, make a
That's right.
coffee, take
That's
20
right.
minutes to go to the studio and then
Yeah.
do a class and then 20 minutes back. Willis, I really invite you to change your thinking about creating a
Yeah.
little setup for yourself at home
Mm.
because I've seen a lot of really good results. And actually, when my clients move away from Melbourne, they actually
Mm.
get better results than when they were in Melbourne.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't want to go to CBD to see you as well with all the
Yeah, yeah.
parking and
No, exactly.
traffic. Don't want to go to CBD.
Exactly. And it's really easy now. I mean, the choices for exercise equipment, you don't have to buy something really expensive. Sometimes even I put my clients on a Zoom and we go for a run.
Oh,
They put in
great.
the
Okay.
earpods and I'll be
Yep.
like, okay, let's start walking first. Then let's pick up the speed and then we might do some recovery. So I literally take them on a run on their earpods.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, things can work. Yeah, so really inviting you to change that idea. Like this today, Wednesday is my Zoom day. I
Mhm.
started my day in Toorak, then I went to Adelaide, then I went to Queensland, then I went to Warrnambool, then I went to Bali, then I went to Port Macquarie, then I finished in Singapore.
Oh, wow. You've been
Previously,
around the
these
world.
clients will have just missed all their sessions, right? When they
Yeah,
travel
yeah,
or when they're interstate. And then when they come back, we had to start again and start again. But I said to them, when you travel, just take me with you, because it's much better than you coming back and
yeah,
having to restart. And I think that's when people's motivation goes down.
yeah,
Have,
yeah.
you have school holidays, for example, that's 2 weeks
That's
off.
it.
And you're just like
That's it.
trying to enjoy the sleep-ins and the non-exercise, was for me is about keeping my clients in the habit.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's it. At school holiday, if you Zoom, you can take an hour out of, or half an hour out of the house and,
Yeah.
or not out of the house, but still in the house, and the kids can run around.
And this is how, again, as exercise physiologists, we try and be solution focused. So we
Yeah.
actually invite our clients to bring in their kids.
Okay.
We actually, it is quite chaotic at our studio during school holidays because there's kids exercising with their parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we'll just get them involved in like simple activities. And I think the parents feel really good about it too because they're trying to instill good habits in their kids
Yes.
when they're still young,
Yeah.
which I'm sure
Great.
we all wish that we had started when we were younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Carrie Ann saying she was
Mm.
doing yoga during lockdown, doing
Yeah.
yoga online classes.
Mm.
But she said
Mhm.
she's now going to Kisa and prefer to get out of the house.
Yeah, right. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah, but it works for some people. Yeah.
Mm. And I think what Sylvia mentioned again as well is online is better than nothing. And I really believe in that. And I think that, obviously, if you have the time, face to face is amazing,
Yep.
and having that opportunity and that time to do face to face is really good. But
Yes.
I guess I always invite my clients to think, how important is this goal to you?
Yep.
To them, if you're honest with me, you say like, okay, look, I want to drop 5 kilos, but you know, I don't really want to put in too much effort, then I'll be like, okay, let's just readjust our goals and be a little bit more realistic. Maybe we'll drop a kilo and then we'll see how we go. But in order to drop a kilo, this is what you need to do. And I set out a plan for them.
Yeah.
I present it to them and say, do you think this is doable?
Hmm.
If it's not doable, then let's adjust it. Let's adjust expectations. I think most people lose their motivation is because the expectations are not really meeting the effort.
Yes.
And so they end up being disappointed and then it
Yep.
becomes a vicious cycle.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guide people in setting realistic expectations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Do most of your clients achieve good goals? They're achieving their
Yeah.
goals?
I should actually try and put a link in there, but one of our clients won Exercise and Sports Science Australia's Client of the Year in
Oh, wow.
2022. He lost 38 kilos. He was a type 2, sorry.
You're right. Have you found it helpful, ladies?
Sorry, everyone. She doesn't
You're
usually do
right.
this, but obviously she chose tonight to
Oh,
do
your
it.
doggy, is it?
Yes, one of my babies, who keeps me
Um,
fit, actually, having 3. Yeah. So yeah, I was talking about Steve, who was one of our clients that lost 38 kilos and reversed his type 2 diabetes.
wow.
So, it, and I always look at Steve because, he's still with us.
Hmm.
We've been trained together for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
And when he came in, he was referred by his GP, but he didn't want to be there.
Oh, okay.
He sat there, and I've never seen an angrier client in my life. And I was like, okay, you can just leave, because we won't force you to do exercise. But he sat there and he listened to our speech, listened to what we had to say. And for some reason, he decided to give it a go. And 38 kilos later,
Wow, that's
sometimes we're told
amazing.
to not exercise so much.
Yeah, you must be enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. But also, I think because he was putting in effort, he saw results really quickly. He just really followed what we had to say.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and he didn't really veer from it. We didn't give him very strict perimeters or anything like that. We just gave him, advice on what he should be doing, and he followed it. He had the discipline. He wanted to do it. And yeah, I've just put in the link for you to read his story if you're interested. Yeah,
Great.
38 kilos is a wonderful. And this is from him not changing his diet.
Not
Naughty.
changing diet.
No, he was very
Oh
naughty.
no.
That was the last thing he changed.
Oh, okay. But if he's building muscles, that might be
Yeah.
what's happening and
And
improving insulin sensitivity.
exactly. And Abby, I think it's a bit of a chicken and an egg situation.
Mm,
And I always feel that food is difficult for a lot of people, as is exercise. But I
yep.
think once someone starts moving
Yeah.
and you feel like you're carrying a bit of extra weight, naturally, I feel like then you start to work on your diet a little bit more
Yes.
once you start moving and you start seeing the results.
Mm.
Mm.
I actually see patients the other way around when they start doing the diet, lose a bit more weight, and then they start feeling a bit easier to start exercising and moving.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the chicken and the egg, like what do you start with first? And I think you need to know yourself and know which one you're prepared to make a move on, and then focus on that first. Might be
Yeah.
hard to change two things at once for a lot of
Yes.
people.
That's
So
it.
yeah.
Great. Or you can start exercising once a week, twice a week, something like
Yes,
that.
exactly. Or like I say, even 10 minutes.
Mm.
He lost 38 kilos probably in 3 years.
Okay, that's still
Yeah,
fantastic. Doesn't have to be
yeah.
fast.
That's about 10 kilos a year, which is I feel like healthy and also sustainable.
Yes, yes.
Mm, mm,
That's about what I see when people start to lose weight, 1 kilo a month.
mm.
That's we can probably do faster than that, but
Yeah,
that's still
yeah,
pretty good. It's still fantastic.
yeah.
So Carrie Ann says, is walking a good goal to start with?
Yeah, I think walking is good, but I think a lot of people walk too slow to
Mm,
get
okay.
to get adequate benefits.
Mhm.
One thing that I find really helps with a lot of my clients' weight loss goals is getting an activity tracker,
Mm,
especially an Apple Watch.
okay.
I
I
think
haven't got an
it's
apple.
Yeah, I think
I've
Apple
got it.
is really simple to use from a weight loss perspective,
Okay.
um, because it gives you a calorie target, calorie expenditure target, and I think you either hit it or you don't hit it. So it's
Okay.
pretty clear, right? Depending on how often you move. And I told people it doesn't matter if you swim, if you walk, if you dance, if you pole dance, as long as you achieve the amount of calorie expenditure,
Hmm.
then consistently, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be dropping weight. And I feel like a lot of people maybe haven't had such good results because they don't track. They don't track
Oh,
what
okay.
they're doing. They don't track their food. So you're kind
Yep.
of like just guessing along.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Great. So if someone was to have no experience in exercise, they have diabetes come in,
Mm-hmm.
would you try and motivate that person?
Yeah, okay. So if someone with diabetes comes in and wants to get started, so basically what I want to do is I teach them about activity tracking. You don't have to go out tomorrow and buy an Apple Watch, but I try and put the idea in their head. I ask them if they already have something. And then I say to them, I find out what their lifestyle is. People find it really weird that I ask them how they live their lives, right? But I,
Hmm.
I get them to describe to me, what time do you wake up? Do you do school drop off? What
Hmm.
do you do for work? Do you work very long hours, etc., etc.? And then from that on, we agree on a goal together. We must agree on a goal together. How often
Hmm.
do you want to exercise? They'll be like, okay, I want to do 5 days a week. Then I'm like, okay, is 5 days a week realistic? Where are you going to fit it in?
Yes.
So I actually get them to tell me where they're going to fit it in.
Yep.
They say they want to fit it in, and I say, okay, and I leave it at that, then they might not fit it in. Things will come up and they'll be like, oh, I can't exercise, I'm too busy.
Yeah.
But I
Yep.
want to know exactly when they'll be doing that exercise.
Yep. So put it in a time slot that they can
Yeah.
Fit it
But
in.
is it before kids? Is it after
Yep.
kids? Is it before work? Like exactly where are you going to find this time where you know you won't be interrupted? Like
Okay.
for my London client, it's 7 a.m. before her calls start, before her kids wake up,
Yep.
and that she know that she won't be interrupted.
Yep.
During lockdown, sometimes we exercise at 11 p.m. at night when she's finished work and she just needs to wind down a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, different people have different needs, right? And you just
Sure.
need
Yep.
to find out what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what sort of exercise do you think people should start with?
I think definitely I always ask them what they enjoy the most because a lot of people enjoy walking. And I say, good,
Okay.
let's start with that. And then usually with walking, then I start with how far do you walk every day? Can you tell me your steps? And usually everyone has smartphones that track steps.
Yep.
So I get them to show me how much they're walking. They'll be like, oh yeah, I walk close to 10,000. And then when they open their phone, it's actually really only 7,000. Or they might hit 10,000 one day and then 5 other days they're at 5,000. So, I
Yep.
try and pick up these little things that they might have missed and
Okay.
go, right, so this is what we need to adjust. We need to make sure we're from 5,000, we go to 8,000, setting just small achievable goals. And for my clients, I meet them weekly because I feel that weekly gives them accountability. And if they have a bad habit, I can stop them straight away and we readjust. In between sessions, we exchange emails. I'll be like, how are you doing? Have you exercised 3 times a week? And I find that works because if you have someone to stay accountable to, a professional,
Yep.
and they can tweak your schedule for you, and I find that that's very beneficial.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Like one of my clients, for example, has a hip injury, and we had agreed to swim in a pool, and she's like, "Oh, it's a bit difficult to swim in the pool with my hip, Wynter." And I said, "Well, Susan, get a kickboard. I don't need you to go Olympic style swimming. Just get a
Yep.
kickboard and just keep moving, and always finding solutions for them so they can stay
Yes.
active.
Yes.
One of my clients is battling a hip injury. I'm like, that's okay. Come in and we'll do boxing.
Okay.
Whereas they're just like, oh my God, I have a hip injury. I'm in pain. I can't do anything. Whereas I'm
Yep.
like, okay, let's go to the pool. Let's do boxing. Let's do upper body weights. Da, 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 da. There's different solutions that I present to them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many different options.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. As a runner, I keep injuring myself. Then sometimes running, I have to stop and then I've got to go on the bike.
Mm, mm.
Then I
And I
broke
think
my
that's,
foot one day and then I had to go swimming.
I
It's a bit,
know. And
yeah.
that's what I think is good with working with a exercise physiologist or with a physiotherapist. Physiotherapist has less knowledge on exercise,
Hmm.
is that we can work around the injury. Like if someone
Yep.
has a bad hip, for example, I can give you 5 other options, that you can do without having to put a stop to your exercise. And I think when people get injured, which is very common, we have sedentary jobs, we get back pain, etc. But when
Yep.
people get injured, they stop moving, and that's when the motivation decreases
Yeah.
and your momentum stops. And it can be not, it can be very demotivating if you're trying to
Yeah.
fight, I feel.
It makes them depressed, it affects their mental health, and then they
Mm,
want
mm.
to comfort eat, and then they
Exactly.
eat
Yeah.
all the junk food and sugar as well.
Mm,
Then their
mm.
health goes down.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to hear people's questions maybe on what they find challenging about exercise. Is it because
Mm.
people don't enjoy it?
Yeah, put it in the chat and let us know what are the challenges that you're facing.
Mm,
Not enough time. That's a common
mm,
thing.
mm,
Fatigue, tired,
mm,
just busy lifestyle maybe.
mm, mm. I always tell my clients, motivation is like a really bad boyfriend. Never shows up when you want him to. So you can't sit there and wait for motivation to come, I feel. I feel
Yeah,
you need to go out there and get motivated, I
yeah,
know it's very hard for my clients to hear. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just not motivated. I'm like, you can sit there for like 10 years and just like, it,
yeah, yeah.
it won't come and just, it's about having a goal, I guess,
Mhm.
and making sure And it's really, I always question my clients, how important is it to you? Because if it's really important to you, like if you really wanted to go on holidays to Paris at Christmas time,
Yep,
we're saving up for that holiday in Paris at Christmas time,
that's
right?
right.
It's
Hmm.
not like, oh, I might go, I might not go. If you wanted to go, you would. So I question people's dedication to it sometimes. And I said, you can be honest with me. I won't yell at you if you decide that this is not what you want to spend time on. We just got to adjust the expectations, is what I tell my clients.
Yep, yep.
Mm, mm.
So if someone has something to train for, let's say they are already going on holiday to Europe and they've got to walk a lot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they better get training and get some more strength, and that might help them
Mm,
going to a trip and walking a lot.
mm, mm, mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just reading some of the, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
Ruth
Ruth, I
said
don't know
she
if,
has
yeah.
cardiophobia, which really
Mm,
holds me back. Currently on beta blockers for sinus tachycardia. So
mm.
lifting my heart rate panics me. Suppose she doesn't
So
have to do cardio. She can do.
yeah, exactly. You can start with strength training first to build your
Mm,
confidence up. I would definitely get you to, obviously, if you can buy a watch. I don't work for Apple, by the way, everybody. Or you can buy a really cheap pulse oximeter online. Abby, I think
okay.
that's right. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
bought
it's $30, I
mine.
think.
Yeah, $30, exactly. And it can take your pulse and also
Hmm.
your oxygen levels. And that is really good for people with any medical conditions to track the intensity of their exercise.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, like Abby said, that you can start with strength training. You don't have to raise your heart rate. And once you get stronger, you can probably explore a little bit. And I would say that initially, if you start aerobic exercise, just aim for a really low intensity. People are like,
Mm.
oh, I need to go for a run. But I'm like, no, you don't. How about you walk for a minute and then, sorry, walk for 4 minutes and then do a slow trot for a minute. See how you
Mm.
feel. Okay. If that doesn't feel good, then stop.
Yeah.
For someone with a cardiac condition, I would say definitely, talk to your exercise physiologist or your GP, see whether they have any guidelines for you. But we have a lot of people coming back from a lot of serious illnesses. I have a client that came back from stage 3 cancer, and we're just rebuilding slowly. For her, I'm starting with strength first. She's a walker. She's like, oh, I want to go back to running. I'm like, that's great, but I need you to have the base strength first to tolerate the impact of running.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah. So, like for example, with Fiona's question, I don't like you exactly. You can run at your own level, but try and do the run walk. And I would say do maybe 2 minutes of walking and then 1 minute of running, depending
Mm.
the client's fitness. I give a certain ratio, right?
Yep.
If someone's really unfit, then we might start with a 4:1 ratio or a 5:1 ratio, where it's more rest than work. And then we
Yep.
progress slowly from there.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great advice. When I started running, I did the couch to 5K run, which is like run for half a minute and walk for 3 minutes, something like that.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. And I think it like I think a lot of people can get a lot of benefits, not just from um like doing a program like Couch to 5K. I think just having someone that believes you and gives you encouragement, whether it's a PT, an EP, your doctor, whatever it is, you got to have someone on your side. I always tell them.
Yeah.
And the thing with exercise physiologists is we work very closely with GPs. So I'll
Okay.
usually write the GP to update them on how their clients doing, how their patients doing, if they're being if they're being if they're listening to me or not. Because I need to get as many people as I can to support the patient.
Yes.
So I'll write to the GP or write to the psychologist and say, it'd be really great if you can keep motivating Susan to keep exercising.
Yeah.
Really important for a hip. What is really important for, her the upcoming cancer treatment that she's about to have for the chemo, etc. You know,
Mm.
People feel good when they're being supported by a team and the team is talking with each other. Makes them feel cared for, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can do a care plan for the patients to see you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So each individual can have access to five
That's right.
care plan sessions whereby Medicare will rebate you about $56 per
Yep.
session. And what some people do is they use the care plan, they use the private health, and they establish a routine whereby they come in and see me weekly. Or they take the care plan or so that I can write a program for them and we review every month, for example. So it works differently. If I know that someone is starting exercise and not very motivated, I would definitely get them to come in weekly
Yep.
to establish a routine first. And then if they're compliant outside of my sessions, then I'll be like, okay, let's see each other every 2 weeks. So it
Yep.
really depends. Mhm.
Okay, great. Just to let everybody know, care plans is only for those with chronic conditions
Mhm.
that can qualify for care plans.
Mm.
But yeah, that's a great idea. You get a little bit of money back and not so expensive.
Mm.
Is it expensive to see you?
It can be, I guess. Um, but it really depends on what your priority is, right? Like
Yes.
some people, I had a client that said I was too expensive, and then in the next minute tells me about her um 2-month holiday to Europe with a family of six. I'm like, okay, did you hear what
I
you're
know.
saying? But
Yeah, well,
but I
health
accept
is,
that people have different priorities and
yep,
different goals, and I'm just like, if this is not important to you, it's a free country, you know?
that's it. Yeah, well, health is so important. You
Yeah.
can't buy health, so it's priceless.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say, because of our position in the CBD, we work with a lot of lawyers who
Okay.
obviously work themselves very hard. And they usually come to us in their early 50s when their body is wrecked with injuries,
Yeah.
pain, and they have diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and they want me to fix them in 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I try and encourage people, start young if you can. I
Yep.
know it's very cliche to say start young, but it really will pay off. You're never going to be as young as you are as today, you
That's
know.
it.
And tomorrow you're a day older, next day you're a day older, and it can be quite challenging to start a new health habit
Hmm.
and later in life, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us about what you do before the camera went on, before we start recorded. You said you were starting running when you were 16. Tell us what your exercise routine is.
Yeah, so the reason I started exercise was actually because I'm from Singapore and I feel like this might be a bit of a generalization, but I feel like in Southeast Asia our diet is not very good. We
Mm,
processed food, high sugar content. So a lot of my family members actually suffers from cancer. And
wow.
I saw the hardship they went through to survive that. And it made me think about how I want to live my life. Because at that stage, I was a very sedentary child. The thought of PE just scares me. The teacher says go running. I'm like, oh my God, how do I get out of running?
Yeah.
So I never played sport, when I was young.
No?
And I was telling Abby that I probably started running when I was 16, like I said, when everyone started to be sick around me. And I remember making a decision and thinking, I don't want to be like that. So, and I read magazines to get started, runners
Wow.
world. They were like, okay, try, 1 kilometer. And so I just tried 1 kilometer
Yep.
and slowly just build over time. And yeah, that's how I got started. Mm.
Amazing. And what do you do now? What's your routine?
So I run mainly with my dogs. That's my exercise. I would, you know what? I actually would prefer walking, but walking takes too long. And I have 3 dogs. It's gonna take me forever.
You
So
run them all together?
no,
Do
I
one
couldn't.
at a time?
Yeah, exactly. I don't have time. And I have 2 kettlebells that I've had since lockdown and I still use them.
Okay.
And that's my weight training, even though I work in the gym. I don't ever train at the gym because I
No?
don't have time when I'm at work. I see my patients and I go home. So I do a lot of things at home now. And
Okay.
just whatever works for me, I guess because I have the knowledge of what to do for my body.
Yep.
But mainly I let my watch tell me, if I've
Okay.
done enough exercise from walking the dogs, then I've done enough exercise for the day. I don't need to strength train. So I know roughly how much exercise I need to do to hit my target. So I always tell my clients, look, if your goal is to burn 400 calories a day, what are we going to have to do to achieve that? Okay. So we do some experiments, they have to be active at work, get up at lunchtime, do a 10-minute walk, and they need
Mhm.
to do a 20-minute exercise session at home. We just work it out, right? We don't guess. We never
Okay.
guess. And we
Yep.
work it out and we plan. And we're just like, okay, so Monday you're going to do this. Wednesday, very busy day at work. So let's just take it as a rest day.
Yep.
Friday, what are you going to do? So I find that as I develop as a practitioner, I'm kind of helping people manage their lives.
Yeah.
I always thought my clients could do it without me. And look, they probably can, but if I go through their weeks with them,
Yep.
go through their activities with them, then we can find the opportunities to put in exercise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Saturday is sports day. It's a heavy sports day for a lot of them, dropping off kids at sports. And
Mhm.
they'll be like, well, do you have to watch the whole sports session? Could you go around the oval, 10 minutes? You know, maybe we can get 100 calories out, you know? And in the evening, can you go for a quick walk? Let's get another 100 calories, So we just we work it out what we need to do to hit the target.
Yeah. Yeah. Last Saturday, I managed to find a park run near my son's soccer game. So
Oh
I
yeah.
dropped him off. I actually said, can you get up a bit, 5 minutes earlier so I can drop you off? Then I make it to park run, did my
Yeah.
5K, and then I
Yeah.
came back and still managed to watch him a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's about making it work, I guess. And look, I have clients that work 80, 90 hours a week as lawyers
Wow.
and they manage to do it. Well, they have to do it because if they don't, their spine will literally disintegrate, I think, and they won't be able to work anymore. I said, exercise with me so that you can work longer and make more money.
Yeah, and you get more energy, you work more efficiently, and your
Yeah,
health gets better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's see who else has more questions about exercise or how to start exercise or what sort of exercise for winter. Post in the chat any questions that you might have.
And well done to that lady who dropped 50 kilos, Casey. Well done. That's
Casey dropped.
really amazing over the last 2 years. Good
Oh,
on you. Is that with a
wow.
low carb diet, Casey? If you'd like to share, what kind of exercise were you doing? If you don't want to share, that's fine too.
Casey was doing keto. Yeah, keto and exercise definitely combined together will be the magic pill. So
I think,
Carrie Ann, yeah, sorry,
yeah, I
go
think
Winter.
definitely if you have been fit before, it is much easier to get started again. I find that all my clients who were previously fit, um, and if they start exercising again, there is definitely such a thing as muscle memory. And for Steve, our client that lost 38 kilos, he actually was in the army for just 2 years when he was in his 20s. But when we started, what the memory that came back to him was the regiment of what army life was like. You
Oh,
wake up at
wow.
6, then you go for a run at 7, etc.
Hmm.
And it just unlocked this part of his brain that we didn't even know he was in the army. And he just like, okay, I'm gonna structure. He got a watch the next day and he's like, right, I'm gonna set my target. And it's like that mode just switched back on that was quite dormant at the back. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Carrie Ann, that might be something that you want to tap back into. And
Mm.
because I think you have to be very disciplined to be in the army.
Yeah, yeah, must be the discipline thing.
Mm, mm, yeah.
So Casey said she has uh, a sit-on exercise bike and elliptical machine, weights and everything, and have time for
Mm,
it. All I have to do is to do it, and then
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
really struggling talking myself into it.
Casey, what I would really suggest is for you to work with someone. So maybe online, to get you to enjoy working hard on those equipment. Looks like you have everything. And is it at home? I'm not sure if it's at home or not. But I find that a lot of my clients with home gyms never use their home gyms without. You know, they're just like initially when they first start, they only go into that room when they're zooming me, which is fine. And I'll be like, okay, this is how you work the bike, right? Okay. And I'll be like, okay, Casey, this is how you track your heart rate. For you, we're aiming for 130 because 150 is too high, is 85% of the max heart rate, blah, blah, blah. You know, so I explain to them why we do certain things, right? And I say, okay, when you're on your own, I just want you to do 10 minutes holding your heart rate at 130. So giving them something so simple that they cannot mess up. You know, if I wrote them a program with 25 exercises, they'll just be like, I don't even know what the second exercise is.
Yeah.
But when I start with someone new, I usually give them a very simple aerobic program. You know, I just want you to get 5,000 steps, or I want you to just go on the bike, doesn't matter what intensity, just do it. Give me a heart rate, you know, and then we track. I take notes, and every session we check in. What's your heart rate? What's your intensity? How many kilometers you did, etc., etc. So I think having that guidance initially is really important, because otherwise you're just feeling around in the dark, and I think there's nothing more discouraging than not knowing what to do. It's like going to a supermarket, but you're not sure what you want to cook, and you're just wandering the aisles. You know, you're just spending a lot of time at the supermarket buying junk food.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it'll be really good to get someone to guide you to start and how to start, and then what you do the exercises.
I tell people just get in and get out of the supermarket, which is their gym, their home gym. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great work, Wynter.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd love to answer more questions if anyone has it. I know it's exercising is a very challenging topic, and like over the years I find that yes, it might be enjoyable for someone like me, but I know it's not enjoyable for a lot of other people. And they're just very unsure on how to begin.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone has any more different questions?
So I guess I want to pose a question to everybody and say, is everybody planning and scheduling their exercise into their diaries like they do for work, for their kids, for their meetings? Maybe is that actually a schedule in your diary?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Put it into the diary. Casey says, do you have any YouTube clips or sessions that we can access for free?
We actually started some YouTube videos on the Melbourne Yoga and Pilates, but I think there are lots of apps out there that can be really good for you. And I think the most important thing, like I say, is know your target, how much you want to do, and then set the schedule, because whatever you find online, there's like heaps of resources now, right? It doesn't have to be mine, doesn't have to be Abby's. Like, as long as you schedule it and you do something at that time, I reckon that will be good enough to get started.
Yeah. There's lots of free YouTube things. You can just Google yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga for Adrienne is I use hers.
Yeah. No, even though I'm not working for Adrienne, I will write down her. Yeah. But I definitely think, to me, the number one advice I give people is schedule it, get an activity tracker.
Right.
And I think that will be a really good start for a lot of people.
Yeah. Awesome. I think we might wrap it up with maybe one or two more questions, if anyone's got any more questions.
Okay, see, is there any particular modality that you like to do? Like, if you really like walking, then I will say to people, why don't you just start with walking? You know, if they like, they'll be like, oh, I used to enjoy cycling. Then I'll be like, okay, let's start with that first. So I usually start with what the client likes to do. Okay, so you have two dogs, so you do walking, a lot of walking. Then I'm like, are you walking fast? How fast are you walking? I always tell my clients, they're like, oh yeah, Wynter, I walk all the time. I'm like, well, how fast are you walking? Some have little sausage dogs, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're not walking that fast, you know? And I'll be like, let's track speed, let's track steps, let's do, 2 laps. So that's great. Would you want to take the laps to a park, play ball and do a bit of jogging in between is what I would say, suggest. And if that doesn't work, that's okay. We'll find something else. It's about being ready to change, ready to pivot if you find that something is not working out for you.
Great.
Mm.
Carrie-Anne says, can kicking up and down the pool with kickboard good for lower back? Absolutely.
Usually, I think I would suggest probably more Pilates for lower back pain, only because when you're kicking, that movement actually puts a lot of movement into your lower back. And because I don't know what is the pathology behind your lower back pain, I cannot advise if the kicking movement is good or not. So best to maybe see a physio. But I would think a lot of my clients do Pilates for lower back pain, and it's really helped them. I haven't actually met anyone that does Pilates for lower back and thinks that it's worse.
Great advice. Awesome. All right, we might wrap it up because Wynter is sponsoring my low carb dinner, which is on 18th of May. So everyone who comes to the low carb dinner can get a voucher to see Wynter for a discounted price.
Yeah. Also, put in my details in case anyone wants to approach me for more questions. I'll try and help as best as I can.
Great. I have just going to share my screen for a short period of time with so here's my low carb dinner. So for people who wants to book the low carb dinner, tickets are limited, so please buy your ticket. It's on 18th of May for $99, and more than 1/3 of the tickets are sold. It's still 2 weeks away, so please buy your ticket. And I offer face-to-face and telehealth consultations in Montana. And for a special price tonight, if you want to purchase my online courses, the Benefits of Low Carb course is actually free. I've giving it away. The functional breathing course and the 8-week course is now 40% off if you use the special code Masterclass or in lower cases. So purchase this course for the next 3 days for a special 40% discount. And I want to thank you, Wynter, for coming to join us in this masterclass.
Thank you, everyone. Apologies about my dog, Della. She never does this, but of course she chooses tonight to do it.
She's okay. Mine was whining before, and then I ignored her. That was awesome, Wynter. That was great advice.
Thank you, everyone. I know it can be a daunting task, but persevere and don't wait for motivation to come. You got to go and chase it. It's another tip I'll give you.
Thank you. So for all those who's joining me on the recording and the podcast later, I'll put all of Wynter's contact details, email address, and website all in the show notes and the YouTube information. And you can go and find her and maybe organize a Zoom session with her, especially those that, like me, don't want to travel to the CBD. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you, ladies. Before we finish, I want to tell you about an exciting event I'll be hosting. I have planned a low-carb dinner at Bucatini Restaurant in Mitcham on Saturday, 18th of May, 6:30. Please join us in this event with delicious food, inspiring conversations, and practical insights on how to live a low-carb lifestyle. I have invited health coach Charlene Lester and nutritionist Carla Feed Carter as guest speakers. I have organised sponsors with prizes in the goodie bags. We have plenty of time to ask questions and connect with each other. And we'll have an amazing lucky draw with lots of contribution from our sponsors. So please join me in this amazing event I have put together for you. Don't miss out. Reserve your spot. Tickets are limited. Head to my website or check out the show notes for more details. Hope to see you there. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and motivating. Remember, your health journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Implementing small, sustainable changes over time can lead to sustainable improvements in your well-being. Remember, these podcasts are not to be treated as medical advice. You should see your own doctor for medical treatment, or you can come in to see me in my clinic in Melbourne Low Carb Clinic, face-to-face or telehealth Australia-wide. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate and review us on your favourite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and continue bringing you valuable content. I also want to invite you to head to the website of Melbourne Low Carb Clinic to download a free ebook and join my free community on Facebook. Stay connected with us on the socials. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends and family who might benefit from our discussions. Until next time, keep prioritizing your health and embrace the power of lifestyle medicine. Take care and see you soon on Prescribing Lifestyle.